Hi, my name is Jeannette Raasch, and today I'm going to be giving a presentation over using underwear versus pull-ups for potty training. A developmental milestone in every child's life is toilet mastery. During this time, children are working on developing their physical abilities, understanding the concept and building different types of relationships, dealing with peer pressure, and building their own self-esteem. So with so much stuff going on, one of the most difficult phases for a child is toilet training. As a parent, we also begin to wonder, is my child ready? How many other children are potty training right now? And what is the fastest, easy, and best way to potty train my child? Because let's face it, in today's world, everybody's in a hurry and people are so busy, they want to do it fast, effective, efficient. So, today I'm going to talk to you about potty training your child with the use of underwear versus pull-ups. Having worked in the daycare for 21 years and having 3 children of my own, I have gone through all the steps of potty training. I have seen all the pros and cons with all the parents and the children and the different steps that they use. So I've selected what I believe is the best alternative. Potty training toddlers with underwear leads to less confusion of the potty training schedule, social acceptance among peers, and faster, more effective results than potty training with pull-ups. I've got a handout for everybody, which is basically a potty training readiness checklist. One thing I want everyone to know, though, is that there is no timeline to potty train your child. They do not need to be a certain age. They do not need to be 2. They don't need to be 18 months. You know, Grandma says, let's get them potty trained as soon as possible. Even up to the age of 5, there are still some that are potty trained. Every child is different. Basically, you want to make sure they follow a certain criteria, certain guidelines. There are 3 types of readiness. The first one is developmental readiness, which occurs when the child is able to perform certain physical abilities that are necessary in successfully completing the potty training process. Okay, so on your developmental indicators, you have ideas such as, when they can walk steadily, communicating with others, stays dry for a couple of hours, uses a cup only at meal times or to quench their thirst. That is a big issue that we have, is a lot of children walk around with this cup all the time. And then they want to potty train their child. Okay, that's not going to happen because it's constantly flushing. They need to just be having it at meal times or just to quench their thirst. If they wake up after nap time or wake up in the morning dry, that's a big indicator because that means that they're now actually able to use their sphincter muscle. And that is one thing that a lot of people don't seem to think about. They don't consider that if your child cannot control that bladder muscle or their sphincter muscle, it's not going to happen. Whether they can talk, whether they can, tell you they need to go to the bathroom, whether they show you they've already gone, or or whatever. If they cannot control that muscle, you're basically hitting a wall. So that is really an important one to look at. Can they pull their pants up and down? Are they uncomfortable when they're in a wet diaper or a soiled diaper? Following simple instructions such as, bring me the cup. Understands the physical signs that indicate they need to go. Your next readiness is behavioral readiness, which occurs when a child exhibits characteristics of their temperament that can have an impact on the design and timing of potty training. Some of the behavioral indicators are, can your child sit quietly for a few minutes? Do they show interest at all in using the bathroom? Do they desire independence, which usually very early on, most kids desire independence. They show signs of grunting or grimacing when they're using the bathroom. They're generally cooperative. They have a desire to imitate others. They have words for urine and stool, and they value putting things where they belong. And the last one is emotional readiness, which occurs when a child begins to show interest and is motivated in potty training. So certain things to look for is, do they have the motivation to learn? Do they show interest in learning to potty train? Do they have self-determination? Do they take pride in accomplishments? And do they have the ability to cope with frustration and pressure? The other thing you need to keep in mind is not every child is going to hit every single one of these cues. So basically you're just looking for, do they fill a lot of these? Because if they do, then you can start. So now we're going to discuss the importance of the daycare and how that works. Basically, your child care center is usually the first place that your child is going to exhibit readiness. A lot of times that is because of, peer influence. because they see everybody else go into the bathroom. Well, this is a great idea for them to do it too. And peer pressure does offer positive results because it will boost them to want to be ready to do it, and it makes them want to do it along with their friends. So I can tell you that a lot of times we have had kids that they weren't necessarily ready, but their friend was doing it. So I'd be like, hey, let's jump on board with them and get them going. And we've been able to potty train them both at the same time. And we generally do try to do that when we do get ready to potty train, like when Raasch's ready to potty train, we'll try to get him on board with somebody else, or have somebody else on board with him, so that way it works together and it does show positive results. And generally teachers are the first to recognize when they're ready because we generally have them all day during the day, and this checklist is a checklist that we watch anyway just for their development. So okay, so before I go over the two alternatives, there are two things I want you to keep in mind while we're going over these. The first thing is the main goal for potty training is to transfer the responsibility of the toddler's body from the parent to the child. Because up until this point, you've been in charge of their feeding, when they eat, when they drink. You've been in charge of the diaper changes, the cleanup, the messes, things like that. You're in charge of their schedule. You're in charge of everything. So part of potty training is transferring this responsibility to them because they now need to know when they need to go to the bathroom, where they go, what they do, things like that. The other thing that you need to remember is that accidents are a major, major, major important part of the process because that's the only way children are going to learn. If they don't have an accident, they don't know they've done anything incorrectly. I don't necessarily want to say it's wrong because it's not wrong for a child to have an accident. It's going to happen, but that's the only way they're going to learn. So with that in mind, first let's talk about the pull-up approach because there are pros and cons to everything, so we're going to talk about both of them. On the pull-up approach, which is also known as the no mess disposable training pants approach, is using disposable training pants to potty train your child. And the pros of this are that pull-ups contain the accidents, which keeps your cleaning to a minimum, which is really good because nobody wants to clean it all up. But pull-ups can be pulled up and down like big kid pants, and all little kids love that, the whole pulling up and down action. And pull-ups reduces the anxiety of accidents, which most of the anxiety generally comes from the parents who have to clean up the accidents and not so much the child. Okay, and the cons are that pull-ups are more expensive than diapers, and who really wants to spend more money on a product that does the same thing as a diaper? Number two is that generally using pull-ups is going to take longer to potty train the child because they do not have any sensation of any accidents because it's all being contained just like a diaper. And the last one is that parents still control the situation. Because basically when they have an accident, you're doing the cleanup, you're doing everything that's involved in it. Okay, then we have the underwear approach. The underwear approach is also known as the cold turkey approach. The pros of this are the child feels like a big kid because they're in big boy or big girl panties or underwear, and the child feels a sense of belonging among their peers. Because if everybody else is doing it and they're all in the big boy underwear, well, they want to be in it too. The third is that the child feels the discomfort of the accident, and that all falls back on the thing of the accidents or how they're going to learn. And the fourth one is the child will have a reaction to the accident, and in this sense they learn how to deal with their emotions during the experience. And that all falls back on part of their emotional development. So this is really an important thing because this does build their self-esteem. The cons of it are that parents feel the discomforts of the cleanup, which we all know how that goes. And parents feel the discomfort of loads of extra laundry. But now, with all this, I prefer the underwear approach for several reasons. One being that a pull-up is a diaper. The only difference is that a pull-up you can pull up and down. Okay, to a child, that's all they comprehend. They do not understand the difference because it's functioning the same way. So when they have an accident in this pull-up, to them, they don't know that that's an accident because it's the same thing they've been doing in this diaper, since the beginning. They don't realize that. It absorbs the wetness, it's containing the accident. The other one is the child is not going to experience the accident. Nothing's running down the legs. They feel no other different kind of moisture or anything. All they feel is it's being absorbed just like the diaper does. And it still is keeping the parent in control. because you're the one doing the cleanup. You're the one talking to them about when they need to be going to the bathroom, when they need to be doing this, you know, and because like I said, they're not comprehending the difference. So I'm going to do an experiment to show you what I mean of how this all works for my number one reason. We have our diaper, which is what everybody's in the beginning. And so when we go and use the bathroom in our diaper, it's absorbing all the wetness. They feel nothing. There's nothing. Okay? If we decide we're going to use a pull-up, yes, it goes up and down, but you know what? When they have an accident, well, we can just rip off the sides and less worry, anxiety on mommy or daddy. But now, when we go to the bathroom in our pull-up, well, nothing. It's the same thing. So basically, he or she is comprehending the same thing of being in the diaper because there is no difference. The only difference is now mommy or daddy is upset because they just went in their pants. And that's not what we're wanting them to do. We're wanting them to go in their underwear. So it's going to take a lot longer because you're having to explain more time. Okay? But now, if we take panties, which were supplied by one of our children, and we have an accident, all of a sudden, uh-oh, it's everywhere. And the first thing the child is going to do is run to you and not know what is going on. They're dripping, it's running down, they're feeling the sensation of the accident. So with that, they know this is not right. That is when you say, okay, we don't want to do this. This is not, you don't want to feel this. They don't like the way it feels and they know they don't want to, so then you can tell them, okay, the only way we can fix this is we've got to go potty. So like I said, if you follow the guidelines of the readiness, and then you say, okay, you know what? I feel like they meet almost all the criteria. My child shows every signs of being ready. And we say, okay, we're going to potty train. If you get rid of these, there is no point in buying these because you might as well keep these. So if you just throw these out the window and say, okay, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to put these on. I promise you, 90% of our children who have potty trained with underwear, when they were ready, when they pretty much had everything on that checklist done, and we put them in underwear, they were potty trained within 1 week. You'll have your random accidents. It's going to happen. In the beginning, you're going to have your accidents because they're learning. That's why it's called training. The accidents are going to happen. We're ready for it. You as a parent need to be ready for it too because it's going to happen. But they will potty train that much quicker. The children who used pull-ups as an alternative outside in the daycare center, they pick their children up and go home, put them in the pull-up or whatever, those children took 4 to 5 times longer to potty train. It is a fact. And the thing also is, you know, if you're going to potty train them, you cold turkey, do the panties or the underwear, get rid of these. Nighttime, daytime, it does not matter because if you put them in a pool, if you say, you know what, we're going to wear these during the day, but at night, I don't want to mess with it being in the bed, you're telling their brain that there's still certain times of the day that this is acceptable. You're letting them know that at night, if they have an accident, it's okay because they're in this. And this was always allowed. Accidents were always allowed in this. They're not allowed in this. So keep that in mind. And this is why I believe that potty training with underwear is better than using pull-ups. So potty training toddlers with underwear leads to less confusion of the potty training schedule, social acceptance among peers, and a faster, more effective results than potty training with pull-ups. That's it. Thank you.